everyone, this is City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I am so excited to be taking part once again in the May I Scraplift You YouTube hop. There are quite a few scrapbookers who are following along with this hop, and in this hop we are scraplifting some very talented scrapbookers who have Instagram accounts, and one of them, the person for today, is Dana, and she is one of my scrapbook Zoom friends. And I don't want to butcher Dana's last name, so I'm going to put a link to her Instagram account in the description box so you can check out all of her beautiful layouts. You can see that I already started on a mixed media background. I wanted to have some mixed media in the background, just as Dana did in her layout. So I took a sheet of 120-pound smooth white cardstock, I coated it with white gesso, and now I'm adding some sprays to the background. So I started off with the purple, and I used some bubble wrap. At first I was just going to use regular plastic, but then I was looking at the texture on Dana's layout, and I wanted it to be similar, so I thought bubble wrap might help a little bit. So I used some bubble wrap, and then after I used the bubble wrap, I made some splatters using the paintbrush, and I watered down the spray a little bit. And now I'm going back in with some orange, and this is also a Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist, and the color is called Orange Soda. So I'm repeating the same process with the orange. Dana's layout has a large strip of pattern paper going down the center, and then she had some circles going from the upper left hand corner to the lower right hand corner, and I'm using the Vicki Boutin Color Study vellum sheet, and I'm cutting out the circles, and you can see that they're over to the right. I have quite a number of them cut out. It's such a beautiful sheet, it's so colorful. And then for the piece of pattern paper, I'm going to be using a paper you might have seen earlier. It is black and it has some purple and blue in it as well. And then I also decided to add some blue. I'm not sure where I came up with this color scheme. I just kept adding colors until I felt like I liked the color palette that was on the background. So for the blue, I'm using a Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist in Dragonfly, and I'm also using an art Anthology Spray, and the color for that is Siesta. And you can see I'm just using the same process where I'm putting down some color with the bubble wrap and then also splattering. So now I'm sprinkling some water on the background, and this had a really nice effect on these sprays, probably because they are so dark. It lifted up some of the color. You're probably familiar with this technique. I see that a lot of people use it with the Distress Oxides, but it works just fine with these sprays as well, and I really like the variation that it gave to the colors on the background. So I kept doing it. You could see that I'm splattering, and I love the way when it's fast forwarded, I really look like I'm going to town, kind of banging on the layout. Maybe I am, I'm not really sure. But I do repeat the process of sprinkling down water and then sopping up the water with a paper towel several times. Then you can see that I added some white splatters. That's just some watered down white acrylic paint. And then I do the same with some black splatters. And I put less black splatters than white splatters. I do like the black splatters. It adds a nice touch. Now I'm going in with some stamps, and I use these stamps all the time. These are Studio Calico stamps. One is a dot and one is mesh, and I'm using some Stayz on ink to put them down, and I just love those stamps. I got those at some crazy sale they had a few years ago. They seemed to be just getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff, so the prices were amazing, like $2 for a whole kit, a whole plastic envelope full of things. The envelope was worth $2. So I ordered quite a few things, and those are my favorite. I just love those stamps. I also used a Prima stamp, and that stamp is called Old Receipt, and I just love the size of it. I love the way you can get into little small areas, which I didn't really need to worry about on this layout, but sometimes I want to fit a stamp in between some things I've already put down, so I like that it's nice and small. I think I got that in a My Creative Scrapbook kit. Now I'm adding some modeling paste that I mixed with some white acrylic paint, and I'm adding that to the background using this stencil that's from the Crafters Workshop. It's called Mini Sketch Grid, and I saw my friend Janet from Galaxy Girl Creations. She was using on one of her layouts, and she was nice enough to let me know the name of the stencil. I really love the stencil, and you could see that I use it on a bit of an angle when applying it. Now I'm mounting my photo, and I mounted it on a piece of cardstock, and I decided I wanted it to be a little bit wider, but I decided to just double mat it. I thought that added kind of a nice dimension. So there's a small border, and then there's another small border that's a little bit bigger, and I liked the way that looked. Then I'm taking all of these circles that I cut out of the vellum, and I'm attaching them down to white paper. The vellum circles are beautiful, but because they're somewhat transparent, once I put them over the backgrounds, they didn't look quite as colorful, so I thought I would mount them on some white paper. Now, this is a dilemma that I had with this layout. There are these beautiful, beautiful circles that have all these gorgeous colors. And then the colors in the background are very vibrant too. And I really love them, and I love the way the purple, the orange, and the blue look with the black. But I really struggled with the fact that those two elements, the mixed media background and the circles, just totally competed with each other. So I addressed that later. I don't know if I did the right thing, and it kind of had me thinking of how I could do things differently for other layouts. But in any case, I am trying to distinguish the circles a little bit from the background by mounting them on some black cardstock as well. So I mounted them on white cardstock and then black cardstock. And now I'm popping up my photo. And I should mention that this photo is a photo that I've already scrapbooked, but I make a scrapbook for both of my daughters. So this is for my younger daughter's album. And this is a photo of some flowers that come up every year on our front lawn. The house that I live in is the house that my parents bought many years ago, and my parents have sadly been gone for a very long time. But I know that they must have planted them because my parents had the house built and there was nothing here before that. So they must have planted them. I believe I have some memory of that, but I'm not 100% sure. But every year they come up, and there's only a few of them. There were actually a lot of them this year, but there's only a few of them, and they only are there for a couple of days. And they're so beautiful, and just seeing them reminds me of my parents and how hard they worked to make our house a pretty place and make the lawn look beautiful. So I really enjoy those, catching sight of them in those few days that they're there. So I wanted to document that for both of my daughters. So you can see here that I'm popping up some of the circles, just a couple, no more than one in each cluster. I am also using Dana's layout as a guide for how I'm placing the circles. I ended up moving them a little bit just because my photo's a little bit differently, but I basically used the same configuration she used and created a flow from the top left-hand corner to the bottom right-hand corner. So you can see there that I tucked some of them underneath, and I'm just playing around with them till I like the way that they look. I was really excited to find the Vicki Boutin Color Study line at Joann Fabric. I was able to get quite a few of the papers, although they don't have all the papers there, but I was able to get some of them. And then I also was able to find the sticker sheet, and I found one of the stamps, and I also got some of the smaller paper pads. But there's a lot more of this collection I'm hoping to get. But on the sticker sheet was this title that says "Be Colorful." So in the beginning, I put it at the top because I thought I would put the title at the top and my journaling on the bottom. But then I didn't really like the way the F went behind the photo, so I do end up changing that a little bit. And now I'm adding some other stickers that were in the sticker sheet. I added a little butterfly, and they had these little tiny holographic gold circles. And so, or I don't know if they were holographic, but they were very shiny and reflective. So I liked having those on the background. I sprinkled some of those. I added the date. And this is my journaling. I just typed it out in a little block, and I backed it with some black paper. And it basically just says the same story that I just told you about how I'm always happy to see these flowers every year. And now I'm adding a couple more embellishments. I added some hearts and I added that little black star. I'm adding some more of those little circles all around. And then I add some little purple hearts to the center of 2 of those circles. And now I'm going in with some jewels and I'm just sprinkling them around. And sorry, the footage isn't super clear here, but luckily it's not too bad and it doesn't last for too long. And I'm adding some small and medium-sized jewels, and I got these at Hobby Lobby. And so now I know this is crazy, but I ended up taking everything off and I got out my gesso and I decided that I had to tone down the background. I wasn't happy about it because I really love those colors, but as I said, there was just too much competition and then too much visual kind of fogginess about what to look at. So I decided that the thing that had to change was the background. So now I know for other layouts that I can use these intense colors, but I can have other elements on top. So I ended up taking out my gesso, and the gesso is reactivating the colors. So you could see that I'm doing all the blue at the same time, and I could see the blue in the gesso. So I was being very, very careful just to dab it on. Not only did I not want to get the blue on other colors, I also didn't want to create new areas of blue. I like the texture that's there. I didn't want to ruin the texture. I just wanted to dull down the color a little bit. So I put just 1 layer of gesso over the background, and I do try to cover all the areas. And you could already see the difference between the areas that have the gesso and the areas that don't have the gesso. And I find that sometimes when I put a layer of gesso over the background, it looks very dull in the beginning, and then eventually the color soaks through again. So it's kind of hard to judge in the moment how much gesso to put on, for me anyway. But I just put down 1 coat and I was happy with the way that it looked. I wasn't as happy with the way the black strip looked with the background, but I had to take the entire composition into consideration. So I'm again being very careful. I was seeing that there was some purple in the gesso that's on the table, so I was being very careful about transferring the color from my brush to the gesso and then back to the layout, and trying not to let it get all muddy. And I think that everything stayed the way I wanted it to. And now I put everything back on again. I didn't make you watch that again, but I'm happy with the balance of the layout. Like I said, I do miss those bright colors, but I think that it had to be done. So let me know what you think. I'm adding some enamel dots. I added some in white. I added a couple of turquoise and a couple of red as well. And then I decided that I would make the photo corners all different colors. So I cut out a photo corner. This is an EK Success photo corner punch. And then I was thinking I wanted to bring a little bit of the black element back to the background. I didn't want it to be more colorful, but I did like those black dots. So I went in with a dot stamp and the Stayz on ink again. And I just put a couple of different dot stamps on the background. And that was the last touch of the layout. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope that you will check out in the description box. There are links to all the other scrapbookers who are playing along with this challenge this month. And again, you can check out Dana's account on Instagram. She is an amazing scrapbooker. Sometimes I don't think she knows how wonderful she is, but you can see all of her gorgeous creations on her Instagram account. I hope that everybody has a fantastic day, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.